One of the main reasons people tell me they don't want to leave a position outside of financial security is lack of clarity and confidence around what to do. This feeling can 100% be remedied if you are ready to do the work. There is no quick fix to finding a job or advancing in your career, but being strategic and doing the work will pay off. If you're ready to work, let's go. This is one episode in a 20-episode season designed to provide career foundations for experienced professionals. We are going to give you the tools to find clarity and confidence, help you with your resume, give you simple interview strategies, known job search strategies, negotiation tactics, and more, all with an experienced professional in mind. My name is Julia, and I'm the career strategist behind the Ride the Tide Collective podcast, where we equip ambitious professionals to strategize and take action to advance their career. Welcome everyone to the first episode of season 2. To say I am excited about this season is an understatement. I meet with so many experienced professionals who feel stuck or stagnant in their career, but don't know what to do next. This is where I love to come in and help. When I was 25, I went through what I now call a quarter-life crisis. As someone who always knew what they wanted to do with their life and always had a plan, I found myself stuck in a job that was a dead end and definitely didn't play to my strengths. In fact, I was actually put down for what I later realized was a strength that now makes me successful. When I finally broke down and realized I needed help, I started on a self-discovery journey that has lasted much longer than I ever anticipated because I learned that self-discovery continues to evolve throughout your career. At 25, what I had to do was examine what brought me to this point. I dug back into high school and identified what I wanted to be, which at that time was a lawyer. And then I switched to an art director. And that's when I quickly learned that the creative side of me and the practical business-minded side of me were at odds with each other. And at that time, I knew I wanted to help people. And that's what was missing in the work that I had done up to that point post-college. I learned in that time period of discovery and decision-making that I wasn't going to be defined by my career title, and I knew that I would end up being a professional who moved around a lot. As most of you know, I went back to graduate school and ended up in career development in higher education. This experience, along with my own journey, are what fuel my passion to help others find clarity and confidence in their career journey and path. This episode is all about finding clarity in your career path. Even for those who know where they want to go, sometimes the way to get there is murky. These 5 steps will serve as a starting point and foundation to help you gain clarity as you move forward. These are all steps that I have used myself or worked through with clients to articulate what's next. The first step to finding clarity in your career is to define your personality. Since most of you listening are more experienced, chances are at this point you've taken a battery of personality tests to help you figure out who you are, the type of manager you want to be, and so on. Love them or hate them, personality assessments help you articulate who you are. Dust off that assessment and take time to read the results again. If you had someone debrief the results with you or your team, this might only serve as a refresher. But for those who just took an assessment and were expected to figure it out, let me give you some tips. Personality assessments aren't about what's right with you or wrong with you. They are about giving you information to help you articulate who you are. Go through the assessment you have and highlight the parts that sound like you. If it sounds like you should be able to give an example of how it's played out in your life or work. If it doesn't sound like you can cross it out or just leave it. It's more important to highlight what is accurate than focus on what is not. Most personality assessments give people a perceived label based on how they answer the questions at a given moment in time. In some cases, you may not have been yourself when you took the assessment, and thus you might over-focus on what doesn't sound like you. Remember, these assessments are a starting point, but not the law. Some assessment results can change based on the season of life you are in. For example, Clifton Strengths is an assessment that can change as you develop your strengths and gain more skills in your career. When I first took Clifton Strengths, my top strength was individualization, which made sense because 50% of my time was spent career counseling and working with people one-on-one. When I moved into a management role and took the assessment again, strategic became my number one because about 60% of my time was spent strategizing in meetings to bring career services to our clients. Make sure you understand the type of assessment you have taken or are taking and what it is meant to measure. For those who might not have taken any assessments up to this point, my favorites are the MBTI or Myers-Briggs type assessment, Clifton Strengths, and the Enneagram. About every 10 years or so, an assessment becomes the darling of the working world, and right now it's the Enneagram. I'll leave links to more information in the show notes about these assessments. Once again, I want to reiterate that these assessments are a starting point to being able to articulate who you are. This is important because as you move up, especially into management roles, if that's your goal, you will need to have a solid grasp of who you are and be able to manage a team of people with all their differences and uniqueness. Step number 2 is to be realistic about your skill set. At this point in your career, you have skills. You probably have more skills than you realize. There are different types of skills, but the two main types are hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are tangible and measurable skills such as coding, knowing a language, or obtaining a degree or certification. Soft skills are harder to measure because they include communication, leadership, empathy, or discipline. Most people focus on the hard skills when it comes to their career because they are the easiest to identify and the easiest to learn. Soft skills are much harder to define and recognize in ourselves and even in others. What might seem like great communication skills to you might be awful for someone else. Preference plays a large part in determining soft skills and your proficiency. So how do you figure it all out? Well, first, ask others. Chances are you can determine the hard skills on your own, but for the soft skills, ask your coworkers, your manager, friends, or loved ones to help you identify soft skills in your life. If you really want to dig deep, ask them where you can improve with those soft skills. If you're looking for a comprehensive list of both hard and soft skills, you can do a simple internet search. As an experienced professional, you want to make sure that once you have identified your hard and soft skills, you group them into what was relevant in the past and what will be most relevant moving forward. I can tell you from experience that your soft skills will stand out more as you move up in your career than your hard skills. The third step is to evaluate your past positions. Most experienced professionals are about 10 to 15 years into their career, and they've had at least 2 to 3 professional positions, if not more. In this step, we want to look at where you have been to help you determine where you want to go. In every position, there are aspects you like and don't like, managers you prefer, coworkers you loved, and managers and coworkers you could do without. I want you to list out all your past professional experiences and focus on evaluating 4 areas: managers, coworkers, the job, and the company culture. Of these 4 areas, you're going to write out what you liked or didn't like about each for all of your positions. Once you have done that, I want you to first see if there are any patterns and then go through and highlight what had the biggest impact on you. This could be negative or positive. Let's go over some examples. In one of my professional positions, I had a boss who was extremely critical and hard on their staff. As a result, I now make sure to ask the question, how would your staff describe your management style? And how do you provide feedback to your staff? And can you give me a few examples? What I'm doing here is taking an experience that impacted me in a negative way, and I'm using it to help inform the type of information I obtain in a future position. Let's look at another example. One of my clients had a coworker they worked extremely well with for a few years before that person moved into another position. My client had a rough time when that person left because not only had they become friends, but their skill sets were extremely complementary. My client realized they were a better worker when they had someone with a specific skill set to help them think through projects and problems. At that time, there was no one in the office who could fill that void. When my client moved into a new position at a new company, they asked specific questions around the skill sets of the staff to determine if that complementary skill set was available. I'm happy to report it was, and my client is now thriving in their new environment. It's not enough to evaluate past positions. You must then put into action what you have learned, good or bad. If you've been listening to the podcast from the beginning, this will not be a new step for you. Step 4 is figuring out what drives you. Said another way, what do you value? Values have a major impact on our decision-making process. It can mean the difference in the location we work, the company culture, the flexibility, or the pay. Our values are the filter we must use for every opportunity. If you don't know what drives you, there's no way you will be able to find clarity in your career. Lucky for you, I happen to have a PDF you can download that will take you through a quick values exercise. I'm not going to take you through a bunch of questions to figure out what drives you, but ultimately, you want to think about what is most important to you in your life and in your career right now. Values change with life and career seasons, so you want to always be evaluating them to make sure they are still true. I'll give you an example. When my mom passed away, which was less than 2 years after my dad passed and about 6 months after my son was born, my values shifted dramatically. Where I was once someone very dedicated to their job and career, I now wanted and needed more flexibility in my schedule to manage my new reality. I had a chance to move into a position at the company that was supposed to provide that flexibility. Unfortunately, there was a miscommunication, and the flexibility I thought I was going to have wasn't a reality. I had to turn down the position, and shortly after that, I left the company completely when I realized that my values didn't align with the values and policies of the organization. As an experienced professional, you also need to think about what you value as it relates to the type of position you aspire to get, whether you know what that is or not. In some cases, management might not be a great fit because it conflicts with one of your values. I had a client who actually refused to go into management roles beyond their department because they knew the politics of the organization, and the higher up you went, the worse it was. My client was very clear about this reality and accepted it because it wasn't worth the additional stress it would cause. Bottom line, know what drives you. The last step to finding clarity in your career path is me giving you permission to dream big and be bold. What is that one career, or possibly multiple careers, you have been dreaming about? It doesn't matter if you think it's realistic or not. Just dream. Once you have written it down or said it out loud, figure out why you want it. For most people, there is a connection between their dream career and their current career. I have this insane dream to own a ranch and adopt high school age foster kids or kids who have been in juvie. The ranch would be a place for them to learn to work with their hands, earn money, and I can help them navigate either going to college or finding a career. To be honest, though, I am not much of a ranch woman and I hate working with my hands. So this isn't the most realistic dream. But the connection for me is to help others figure out what they want to do with their lives. Chances are I'm going to end up volunteering to help youth in this way at some point, which will fulfill part of this dream. And then we have the be bold part. This is the action. What action can you take to make that dream or part of that dream a reality? Maybe you're already doing it and now is the time to articulate it. The idea of dreaming big is what helps us get clear on the future and where we are headed. There you have it. 5 clear and actionable steps to find clarity in your career path. I've put together a PDF that also outlines these steps for you, and you can find the link in the show notes or on the Ride the Tide Collective website. If you are interested in learning more or connecting with me, please follow Ride the Tide Collective on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook.